Let me tell you something. Something really important. I have acrophobia, so this is my idea of a nightmare. I don't want to be here at all. Oh, and that guy on the other side is Charlie. He's my boyfriend, but I don't actually like him like that. So you're probably wondering how I ended up here, 200 meters above the ground and about to make this terrifying leap. Well, let's just start from the beginning. Hi, I'm Luna, a 17-year-old high school girl from a small town in New South Wales. Growing up, I was desperate to please my hardworking single mom. The problem was she was nearly always tired and irritable. So no matter what I said or did, it usually ended up being wrong. The most common words that came out of her mouth were, "If you want me to love you, you have to be nice." I wanted her to love me more than anything else in the world, so I did everything I could to appease her. This led to the need to make everyone happy and left me with an unfathomable fear of being hated by others. If I made other people happy, then they'd like me, right? So whenever someone asked me to do their homework or cover for them on roll call, I did so without hesitation. And if there's ever an argument or awkward situation, regardless of if I'm to blame or not, I always apologize first. At 15, I moved to Sydney alone for high school, and that's when I met my roommate Margot. She's my complete opposite, but this didn't stop us from becoming best friends. She's independent, sassy, and doesn't let anyone pressure her into doing anything she doesn't want to. Guys, if I were more like her, I would have been able to avoid a lot of trouble. Once we had a group assignment in biology, and I, by chance, teamed up with these two popular girls. The day before the deadline, they both texted me saying they were sick and asked me to do their parts. This was a lot of work for one person, but I didn't want to upset them, so I agreed. But then, that night, while I was scrolling through Instagram during my brief break after hours of studying, I saw them checking in at a party. What? So they lied to me so they could go out and have fun and left me home alone to do their homework? Oh my, I just want to take this pen and throw it right at their dumb duck faces. How is that cute in anyway? Ugh, but who was I kidding? I knew full well I'd never be able to tell them what I really thought of them. So I picked up the pen and continued my workload meant for 3 people alone. I stayed up all night and drank 3 cans of energy drinks, but it was just too much work for one person to finish on time. Our assignment, or should I say my assignment, got points deducted due to late submission, which somehow made the popular girls mad. What have you done? How could you turn in the assignment late? I'm sorry. It's just that doing it all by myself was a bit too much for me. Oh, please. You had the whole day to finish it. It's all down to your poor time management. Right at that moment, Margot appeared, out of nowhere, and stepped between us. If you both cared so much about your grades, then you would have helped Luna complete it. Instead of going to some stupid party, how about I report you to the teacher to cross out your names from Margot? Enough. Sorry, don't mind her. Then I quickly pulled Margot away. Apologizing to them was a ridiculous thing to do. It wasn't your fault. I know it's not my fault, but there's no point making a scene out of it, right? Fine. In that case, I'll leave you alone with all the troubles you've caused yourself. I don't care anymore. Oh, no, I didn't mean to make Margot mad. I quickly apologized to her, told her she was my best friend in the whole world, and asked her to go for a milkshake to make up. A week later, on the day my volunteer club was selling lemonade to raise funds for a children's charity, I suddenly fell sick. Oh no, I'd been telling everyone at the club how important this event was, but now I was the one who'd be absent. How embarrassing. I needed to show them how sincere I was. I texted the club president that I was sick, but if the club really needed me, I could still try to participate. Now I can finally sleep. But who would know? Before I even had time to curl up in bed, he texted back saying how they really needed my help. So if I could come, that'd be great. Oh, no. Did I really have to drag my feverish self over there? Not knowing what to do, I turned to Margot for advice, but she snapped at me. If you knew you couldn't go, why suggest otherwise? People will always take advantage of you if you let them. So just make it clear that you're sick and can't participate. Then she told me how her music club had a dinner meeting tonight, yet she'd already decided she was having a relaxing pamper session tonight, so she immediately told them she was otherwise engaged. Margot was right. If I'd done as she said in the first place, I wouldn't have had to rack my brains looking for excuses to say no without annoying anyone. Finally, I texted the club president that I was afraid of infecting everyone, so I'd better stay home. Then I fell asleep and found my worries plaguing my dreams. The next day, I felt better. So after class, I dropped by the club's room, but I instantly felt weird vibes from everyone. Then when I asked the club president how much money we'd earned from the event, he totally blanked me. Oh, no. He was obviously still mad with me for letting him down. I was lost in thoughts when suddenly someone tapped me on the shoulder. I heard you were sick. Are you feeling better now? It was Charlie, one of the club members. He told me that day I was off sick. He voluntarily took over all of my work. So I invited him out for a thank you dinner right away. Maybe he misunderstood my goodwill gesture, as after that he bombarded me with texts, calls, and soppy memes. Then one day while we were walking together, Charlie suddenly stopped and took my hand. Luna, we've known each other for a while now. I think it's time for me to confess my feelings. I like you. Will you go out with me? Oh my. What did he just say? I stood there dumbfounded. I mean, I liked him as a friend, but not romantically. But when I met his expectant gaze, my conscience began to torment me. He was such a nice guy, so how could I say no to him? In the end, I forced a smile, then nodded in agreement. My feelings for him will develop over time, right? But unfortunately, the answer to this was no. Actually, since we started dating, I found myself liking him even less than before. He does a lot of things that irritate me, such as the time he insisted we wear couple outfits to school. Yeah, slogan shirts with "he's mine, she's mine" printed on them should definitely be left in 2010. Ugh. He smugly ushered me around the school and seemed oblivious to the laughs and points in our direction. If only the ground could just open up and swallow me right away. That evening, noticing how fed up I looked, Margot asked me if everything was going all right between me and Charlie. So I told her everything. I thought she'd get mad at me again, but to my surprise, she just sighed and told me to tell the truth and break up with Charlie before things got too serious. That's the best way to stop both of us from getting hurt. And also, I've heard a lot of bad things about Charlie. People say he's kinda erratic. You better get this over with as soon as possible. Yeah, Margot's right. Next time I saw Charlie, I was ending this once and for all. Turns out I didn't have to wait long, because that Sunday afternoon, Charlie came to pick me up for our date. He told me he had a surprise in store for me, and I was gonna love it. Okay, it sounds like he'd gone to loads of effort, so it was probably best if I left breaking up with him until the journey home. Almost there! Hearing what Charlie said, I looked out the window and... oh my God! Is that a bungee jumping spot? So, long story short, here I am, 200 meters off the ground, my legs trembling like a leaf and my heart thudding like crazy. I was about to cry out of fear when suddenly I heard romantic music playing behind me. I turned around to see Charlie getting down on one knee. Behind him was eagle-eyed staff holding roses and candles while swaying to the music. What's happening? I know we haven't been dating long, but it's clear that we're made for each other. Luna, will you marry me? What? Did I hear him wrong? I mean, I'm only 17. Seeing my puzzled look, Charlie hurriedly said, I know we're still in high school, but don't worry, we can wait till graduation. Then let's have the most wonderful wedding straight after that. This was insane. I stood there, rooted to the floor, not knowing what to do, and seeing everyone watching and waiting made me feel even more pressured. I was trying to figure all this out when Charlie forced the ring on my finger. Oh my God. What should I do? What should I do? Well, in classic me fashion, I didn't do anything. My stupid hand just froze in place. And in the end, it turned out like this. No, I couldn't let this happen. Charlie, actually, I don't have feelings for you. I was going to tell you today, but I didn't expect things to end up like this. You're kidding me, right? If you didn't like me, you wouldn't have let me put the ring on earlier. So I explained everything to Charlie. His face darkened with disappointment. I felt so guilty. I should have just been straight with him from the beginning, then none of this would have happened. We can still be friends, can't we? I asked, but Charlie replied without even looking at me. If you don't like me, then why give me hope? Why the emotionless tone? It felt like he'd turned into a completely different person. Afraid, I kept quiet, not daring to blurt out so much as a word. I'd be home soon and away from this suffocating atmosphere. But as Charlie drove, I noticed how the surroundings became stranger and stranger. This is definitely not the way to the dormitory. Finally, the car stopped at an abandoned construction site. Luna, get out of the car. Sensing his irritable tone, I did as he said. You can stay here until you've figured out that we're destined for each other. Then call me. I watched in horror as he drove away and left me there. I was all alone, in the middle of nowhere. Panicked, I called Margot for help, but as soon as she picked up, my phone ran out of power. I explored the area, but it was completely deserted. Would I be stuck here forever without anyone knowing? It was getting late. I'd barely eaten or drank anything all day, and this felt hopeless. I burst into tears, and then everything fell dark around me. I woke up to the bright lights of the hospital. Margot jumped in to give me a hug, then explained what had happened. Turns out that night after I called her, she checked my location on Snapchat and saw that I was in some deserted place. Sensing something was off, Margot and the dormitory manager went to find me and took me to the hospital. Charlie was disciplined and detained for a month for the trouble he'd caused. After that horrible experience, I talked a lot with Margot. She comforted me, encouraged me, and said that it seemed like my desire to please others stemmed from childhood trauma. Perhaps it was my mother's words. If you want me to love you, you have to be nice. That created the character I have now. I couldn't continue to let the past consume me. That summer, when I returned home to see my mom, together, we poured out our feelings and faced our problems. I finally figured out that being nice to people wasn't a bad thing, but agreeing to things just to avoid disappointing people isn't the correct thing to do at all. Now, with Margot's help, I'm step by step learning to say no to things I don't want to do, 'cause life's way too short to say yes to everything. Don't you think?
Here I was, standing in the middle of Christian's apartment with a dumbfounded look on my face. I know I dated a lot of guys, but could it really have been so many that I'd accidentally dated this guy twice? I took another look around the room. Oh my god, that hideous lamp and minuscule kitchen looked really familiar. I was feeling uneasy as I sat on the couch and stared at the guitar. Okay, now I was sure that I'd definitely been here before. Panicking, I made an excuse that my favorite TV show was about to start, so I had to go home. Then I ran out of there. From that moment on, I avoided Christian at all costs. He tried to call and message me a bunch of times, but I ignored them all. How was it possible that I couldn't remember dating him? I mean, okay, I suppose I had been on a bit of a dating streak recently, but it was hardly enough to date myself into oblivion, right? Besides, if this was the case, shouldn't he be able to recognize me too? On the day we met, I was in a terrible mood, so was drowning my sorrows in a bar. I had a bit too much to drink, so when I walked out and accidentally bumped into Christian, I began blaming him. But instead of ignoring a drunk girl, he made sure I got home safely. After that, I don't know if it was by accident, fate, or if Christian was stalking me, but I seemed to run into him all the time. Hey, if the universe wanted us to hang out, then who was I to stop it? So I started talking to him, and turns out we got on really well. Then, of course, came that day when he dropped the bombshell. He said he likes me, and I kind of like him too, so we started dating. Now, did you see how wrong this was? If I'm his ex, then why did he approach me? Also, I mean, what are the odds for the both of us to just have zero recollection of each other? Or was he pretending not to know me? If so, then what were his purposes? Ugh, the best thing to do is to dump him first, right? Problem solved. But then one day, I got home from college to find Christian standing at my door with a bunch of groceries. He came by to cook me dinner. Oh, that's kinda sweet. Well, seeing as he's here, I should hold off on breaking up with him until after dinner, right? But man, it was so hard. All I could think about was how caring and thoughtful he was. Then suddenly, he said something that messed up my whole plan. My roommates are terrible cooks, especially my brother, so the two of them pester me to make all of their meals. Wait a minute, did he just say brother and roommate? So it turns out he wasn't living alone. What a relief! That means there was still hope that I could have dated his brother or his roommate, not him. I just needed to figure out which one it was. I needed to find out more about them, so I praised him for more information. He told me that his brother was dumped by his ex in the worst way possible. He'd arranged a romantic dinner at a restaurant, and while he was talking, she screamed out that she wanted to break up. It was not only devastating for him, but also humiliating. Oh my God. That sounded so familiar, because I often did that too. It's like my signature move. Could it be that the person I dated was his brother, Connor? If yes, then that would be great. It means I could continue dating Christian, right? To be honest, I really hope it's Connor. So all I needed to do was meet the guy and let him confirm it. But easier said than done. The guy was never home. Until one night. Christian and I were at a bar when we heard some loud noises coming from the booth next to us. A guy was yelling at a couple. Seeing that, Christian immediately ran over to them and stopped the guy. Turns out the guy yelling was Connor, and the couple were his ex and her new boyfriend. So she was the one who broke up with him in that terrible way, not me? Now it's either Christian or his roommate. While I was in deep thought, Christian came back with 2 hot dogs in his hands. "Hey, Christian!" Suddenly, we heard someone calling his name. We turned around to see 2 guys standing behind us. It was none other than Christian's roommate, Wes, and his boyfriend. Yes, you heard me right, his boyfriend. So that means I didn't date him either? After that, I couldn't pay attention to the game anymore. In what way could this all make sense? But wait, maybe I was wrong. I mean, many apartments look the same, don't they? Seeing me zoning out, Christian nudged my arm, then handed me a hot dog. I thanked him and was about to take it when he snatched it back. "Oh wait, you hate ketchup, 'cause you always get ketchup stains on your clothes. Here, take this one." What did you just say? How did you know that? "Oh, you did tell me once, don't you remember?" I just gave an awkward smile. I'm 100% sure I hadn't told him that. So there's no denying, Christian is my ex-boyfriend. It's settled. I'm breaking up with him. That night, I couldn't sleep, as all I could think about was Christian. He obviously remembered me because he knew about the ketchup thing. But why the act? Oh my, he definitely wants revenge. I'm sure of it. But, why did this suck so much? He was just some guy. I could find another boyfriend easy enough, right? But chances are, they wouldn't be as sweet and caring as Christian was. One time when I was stressing out about my essay, he stayed up late so he could read it through for me and point out any typos. And whenever I was feeling down, he would send me a cake. Sometimes a box of donuts with a little note to cheer me up. I was definitely going to miss his cute ways, but I couldn't do this anymore. He had to go. So the next day, when I met Christian for lunch, I decided to take the opportunity to break up with him. But before I could say anything, we ran into a guy who claimed to know me. "Oh my God, is that you, Sadie?" Huh? Who is he? "Oliver. My God, long time no see. You know Sadie?" "Christian? Hey, what a small world. Yeah, we used to date." My God. Guys, this is Oliver, who happened to be Christian's former roommate, which, apparently, my ex. He used to live with Christian before Wes moved in. So that means, hooray! Christian wasn't my ex and wasn't longing for revenge. Yay! Although, it's kind of weird that Oliver didn't look at all familiar to me. Maybe I really did need to stop dating so much. This is crazy, but it made me realize something. I really had fallen for Christian. So I decided to set up a romantic dinner in a nice restaurant so I could tell him. "Christian, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I love you." I eagerly awaited for him to say it back, but no. Instead, he burst out laughing. Huh? And that's when everything came to light. Guess what? Christian really is my ex. When we were at the basketball match, I made a big mistake with the ketchup thing. I sensed you were sus, so I asked Oliver to pretend to be your ex. And it worked. But why? What did I do to you to deserve that? Oh wow, you really don't remember, huh? Well, just proves what a terrible person you are. You don't care what love is. You just like to mess with people's feelings, then move on to your next victim. Well, let me refresh your memory. We used to be a happy couple. Until one day you decided to end things without even an explanation. right when I was having the hardest time. Things didn't go well at work and my mom was sick in the hospital. Did you know how heartbroken it made me feel? Then a month ago, when I saw you dump that guy in public, then walk past me without even recognizing me, I knew everything was a joke to you. So I came up with this plan, and I don't regret anything." Then he stood up and walked off. What? That couldn't be true, right? Because I had no recollection of what Christian just said. But he seemed adamant it was true, so I went to see my doctor. Actually, ever since the accident, I haven't been back here for any extra checkup. And you know what? After several tests, I was diagnosed with memory loss. Well, that explained a lot. You see, a few months ago, I had a bicycle accident. I fell off a cliff, but luckily it wasn't high. I bumped my head, but I thought I was okay, as I still remembered my family and friends. Turns out, I only lost the memory about the period of time when I was dating Christian. How ironic. But it was a big misunderstanding. You know, I have this bad habit that every time I feel someone is getting distant towards me, I save face by dumping them first. So maybe when Christian was busy taking care of his mom in the hospital, I misread the situation and ended things with him. Ugh, he was right. I am a horrible person. I can't believe I let an amazing guy like him go. But nope, not this time. I believe the universe gave me a second chance. That's why I met him again. So I ran to Christian's apartment to explain everything to him. But when I knocked on the door, Wes opened it. "You just missed him. He's heading to the airport to visit his parents for a few weeks." What? I couldn't wait 2 more weeks, so I took a cab to the airport. But on the way, I got stuck in traffic. Ugh! How am I supposed to find him now? Wait a minute. I've seen this scene play out many times in movies. So, can you guess what I did next? Yep, I stepped out of the taxi and ran like a crazy person up the road. I looked into each taxi hoping to find Christian and, do you believe it? I finally found him. He looked very shocked when he saw me getting into his cab. Before you kick me out, please let me explain. Then I began to tell him about my mom and how my dad and countless other men abandoned her. I was left terrified of being abandoned by someone I love, so my own irrational fear meant that when Christian was busy taking care of his sick mom, I thought it was a sign that he was about to dump me. So I ended things first with him. It's not because you didn't mean anything to me. On the contrary, you made me feel safe. I just like you so much that I didn't want to get hurt by you. Then I explained to him about my accident and why I don't remember him. Christian remained silent and kept his head down. It seemed like he didn't want to give me another chance. I tried, but I couldn't make him forgive me. So, feeling glum, I opened the car door to get out. But Christian took my hand and said, "Sadie, I have missed you." "Okay, fine. Let's give it another try." So that was it. Christian gave me a second. Oh, wait. Actually, it's the third chance. And can you guess what we did next? Well, I'm now sitting at the airport with Christian, waiting for our flight to his hometown to meet his parents. I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. Wish me luck. Why did this fence have to be so high? Oh no, that didn't sound good. It was time to get out of here. But, I seemed to be stuck. Suddenly, a security team was blinding me with a flashlight and telling me not to move. Not that I could anyway. They dragged me down. Then the next thing I knew, I was being pushed into a chair and interrogated by security guards. But all they got out of me was silence. A few minutes later, Mr. and Mrs. Langston showed up. Yeah, they're the wealthy couple who owns this mansion. They're the people that I was looking for. I suppose I did owe them an explanation. I'm sorry for this disturbance, but it's not what you think. I saw your job advert for a housemaid, and I wanted to apply, but the guard said I was too young and refused to let me in. The thing is, my dad has a rare heart condition, and if he doesn't receive treatment soon, then chances are he won't make it. I really don't have any other choice. So please can I have the job and also 6 months salary advance? Right at that moment, a girl my age fell into the room, peered at the Langstons, then started laughing.
Carla, this is not acceptable. Aren't you ashamed of your appalling results for the Francis Academy entrance exam? You should be studying hard to redeem yourself, not out partying at this hour.
This Carla girl just rolled her eyes at them, then wobbly walked off. I noticed Mr. Langston comforting his wife, who seemed to be in much distress at the girl's inconsiderate behaviors. So this must be their daughter then. They sure seem to take her education seriously. And she applied to my school. That gave me an idea. You know, if you want to improve Carla's academic performance, I can help you. They both gave me skeptical looks, so I showed them my academic records and told them how I was a valedictorian and had successfully scored a scholarship at Francis Academy. On hearing about my achievements, any apprehensions they had soon faded. And so, they'd come up with a plan, a risky one. They would pay for my dad's hospital fees until he fully recuperated if I took on the identity of Carla and flew to South Korea to study at an international high school there, while Carla would take my place and enroll at Francis Academy just as they wished. This deal sounded like the answer to my prayers, but I knew it would be tricky. Pretending to be somebody else in a completely different country was beyond my understanding, so I agreed to do it, but only on 2 more conditions. First, a guardian must be present, who would take care of all my paperwork and stuff. Second, after I completed the deal and returned, the Langstons had to help me get into my dream school, the prestigious GBA University, obviously. They gave it a thought, then shook my hand in agreement. It looked like we had a deal! The next thing I knew, I was in an elite neighborhood in Seoul, Korea. Whoa! Talk about luxury! So this was what it felt like to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Mr. Preston dropped me off at school and repeatedly told me not to draw attention to myself. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, Mr. Preston is the Langstons' lawyer, and according to the contract, he's also my guardian. He seems oh so serious, but I guess he's okay. Whoa, this school looked so modern. The architecture was a work of art all in itself. I wandered around the endless corridors and tried to find my class. Everyone seemed quite friendly, and the class president, Minjun, even gave me a guided tour. All the students' outstanding paintings, photos, and models were displayed all across the campus. Countless classrooms of different subjects, from science to art, just made me gasp in awe. I was admiring the artwork when suddenly Minjun blurted out,
Sorry, I've got to go. Miss Lee is looking for me. It'll only take a few minutes, so wait here for me, okay?
Then he rushed off. So I lingered around the hall. That's when I spotted a group of girls nearby. I recognized the one from my last class. I'm sure her name was Isabella. I was about to walk over to greet them when I realized they had this one girl cornered and were making fun of her hairband. Ugh! Where did you get that horrid thing from? I suppose it must have come from some thrift shop or something. I heard that's where poor people shop. Ugh, this whole thing disgusted me. They outcasted someone just 'cause she didn't come from ridiculously rich households like them. I knew that poor girl's feeling all too well. I gotta help her. But I didn't want to get anyone's back up and draw attention to myself. What could I do? Ah, got it! Hey, the teacher's coming. I'll stall her for you guys. Run! My plan worked a treat, as Isabella and her friends nodded at me, then rushed off. I then went over to the girl asking if she was okay. Get away from me! She flinched me off her and then ran off. Huh? I was only trying to help. As I turned around, I saw Minjun looking at me. A bit impressed, I think. He told me that the students here were divided into 2 groups. 90% are rich, and the remaining 10% are poor kids entering under scholarships. Most of the students are quite friendly to each other. Well, except those I just witnessed. Isabella's part of the rich kid group who think their upbringings make them superior to others. She's often mean to the 10% group as she believes they don't deserve to be here. And as you can guess, that girl they upset, she's called Susie. She's in the 10% group, and she's the smartest student in our year. What nonsense! School is school. We're here to study and should all be treated equally.
Too right, new girl. I knew there was something different about you.
The next day, when class was over, Isabella tapped on my shoulder and thanked me for the warning. Then she asked me to join her group for lunch. I was about to politely refuse when Minjin appeared and asked me to join him. Phew. Thanks to Minjin, I had an excuse to quickly flee the scene. However, I did look back and see that Isabella was giving this offended look. After that, Minjin and I started hanging out more. We soon became close friends, and we both decided that the dynamics around here needed to change. So, we set out to help the 10% club. One lunchtime, Isabella and her clan purposely bumped into this boy, causing him to spill food all over himself. While they laughed and pointed at him, I rushed over there, took the food, and slammed it onto Minjin's face. Minjin immediately understood my intention. Then he also took a handful of noodles and smeared it all over Isabella. Cue the canteen erupting into one big, messy food fight. Another time, the school was preparing for a cultural fair. One boy from the 10% group had this awesome idea to open a food stall serving traditional dishes from different countries. Everyone agreed, apart from, yep, you guessed it, Isabella and her snooty besties.
Such a peasant! Too used to working as a waiter to serve others, huh?
I winked at Minjin. Then we stayed behind and secretly wrote Isabella and her friends' names on the list of participants and submitted it to the teacher. Now, they had no choice but to serve food at the super crowded fair. The funniest part was they finally got a taste of their own medicine when the 10% group made the most of ordering them around and complaining.
Ew, this ratatouille is too bland. Add some more salt.
And this milk tea is too sweet. Start a new batch with less sugar. I have to admit, I was enjoying watching the mean kids squirm. But I guess my enjoyment hadn't gone unnoticed, as afterward, Isabella approached me.
Those peasant kids aren't at the same level as you and I. I suggest you put more care into who you choose to associate with, or you could end up being treated like they are.
Whatever. I just rolled my eyes, walked away from her, then continued to hang out with my friends in the 10% group. Isabella and her minions gave me dirty looks, but due to the Langstons' name and fortune, that's all they could do. Just like that, my high school years passed by. I had some great friends. And guess what? Yep, I was now dating Minjin. I loved being here in South Korea, and I'd even grown fond of Preston, who, despite being a grumpy gut, now felt like family to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I missed my family back home like crazy. But Dad was getting better now, and we regularly FaceTimed. As amazing as my life was now, deep down I always felt like I was living in a dream. None of this truly belonged to me, and everything would be over as soon as I left this place. And eventually, my last week here arrived. As I was studying for my last ever exam, the SAT, I received a message from an unknown number. I know your secret. Drop out of the test, else I'll expose you. What? Who could it be? I called the number and a distorted voice answered the phone. I begged them to tell me why they were doing this, but they just replied,
You don't need to know. Just do as I said.
Then they hung up. Luckily for me, Preston isn't just an amazing lawyer, he's also a tech genius. Thanks to him, we tracked down the location of the phone. I bet you're just as curious as I am to find out who it was. And now was the moment of truth. Huh? No way! Standing there looking startled was Susie! Why would she do this to me? It made no sense. I mean, I know we weren't friends, but I had nothing against her. Why did she despise me to the point of willing to ruin my life like this? Please let me explain. Ever since you arrived here, I lost my top spot at school, which means I've also lost a full scholarship to college. My family will never be able to afford it themselves, so I decided to investigate you. And that's when I found out that you were not the real Carla Langston, and you got paid by her parents to achieve all these academic records for her. I get why you're upset, but you didn't have to blackmail me. You don't strike me as someone who would do such a thing, so it's kind of disappointing that you did. I'm not. I'm a dead end, Irene. You have to understand. This is my entire future I'm losing here. And what for? So some rich, spoiled girl can get into college without doing any of the work? It seemed like I had a lot of thinking to do. In the end, I realized all I felt towards Susie was pity. This was all my fault, and it wasn't fair for someone as capable as Susie to have her entire future ruined because of me. So I had to be the bigger person here. I decided to ask the Langstons to give Susie the spot at GBA University, which was previously reserved for me as part of the deal. I mean, no worries. With this big brain, I could easily get in there on my own, right? And so, as soon as I was done with the test, I quietly left South Korea behind, without saying goodbye to anyone, including Minjin. Susie and I boarded the same flight back to the state. She couldn't help but thank me all the way there. And, well, let's just say, by the time the plane landed, we became good friends. But things didn't all go as swimmingly as I intended. It turned out Carla was even more negligent than first thought. All she managed to get was a high school diploma with shockingly bad grades. These were now my bad grades. My dream of attending a prestigious university was over. I'd just have to make do with a community college instead. A year flew by, and there wasn't a single day that I didn't think about South Korea or Minjin. I couldn't talk to him anymore. I promised the Langstons I'd cut all ties with my life there. I mean, Susie was the exception. One day while going out with Susie, she was showing me something interesting on Facebook, when we happened to scroll past a post of Minjin's, which read, "Finally I found you, the love of my life." My heart sank. Wow, it looked like he'd found someone else, while my heart still pined for him. But life still goes on, and a week after that, I was waiting for Susie outside of her college, daydreaming how this could have been my life. I saw a familiar face heading towards me. Was that Minjin? But wait! He was with a girl. Carla! Hang on, his Facebook post was about her? The love of his life was Carla? I couldn't do this right now, so I willed back tears as I took a deep breath and turned to walk away. But suddenly, I felt a hand pull me back. It was Minjin.
It's really you! I finally found you! I've been looking ever since graduation, and then my information led me here and to...
Me! Carla appeared next to him and smirked at me. Hey, who am I to stop the course of true love? So I told him your real name and helped him search for you. I mean, you're smart, so I figured you'd attend this university too. No, you messed up my grades, remember? Anyway, it doesn't matter anymore. I turned and looked at Minjin. I'm so sorry, Minjin. I wanted to tell you everything, but I couldn't. He took my hand in his and gave me this adoring smile.
I found you. And trust me, right now, that's all that matters. Sir, we're looking for the nearest landing point. Our helicopter has lost 2 engines. Mayday! 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 Jetfly 457.
Do you know who I am? I am Mr. Anderson's daughter. I insist you find a way to save us immediately!
Poof! Money isn't going to save you now. The best thing to do is be quiet and pray.
No, it can't end like this. I tried raising my phone to pick up a signal, but the blade hit my hand, causing it to tumble onto the ground and the screen to shatter.
Stop this nonsense!
Nonsense? Actually, I'm trying to get us out of this mess. But all you're doing is just sitting there. Before I could finish my sentence, Blade blurted out,
For God's sake!
then jumped out of the pilot's seat, put on a large backpack, and turned to me.
Get ready to parachute out.
What? Are you serious? No way I'm gonna do that.
That's the only way out. Suit yourself, else I don't mind jumping alone either.
Oh my God, he's a jerk. Fine. But first thing I'm doing when I get home is getting Daddy to fire him. Then Blade moved us towards the door. Ah! The sky was so vast and perilous. I took a deep breath. It's about time. Am I still alive? I turned to my left and saw Blade lying right next to me. Oh, from this angle, he looks kinda handsome. But wait, why wasn't he moving? Oh my God, is he? I sat up and shook him vigorously. You can't be dead! You must get me out of here! You haven't given me a chance to fire you!
Shush. Turn the volume down, will ya?
Oh God, you're awake. Take me home at once. I want to go home, not this disgusting place.
You're the one who insisted on flying with me in the first place.
That's not how you talk to your mistress. He rolled his eyes at me and muttered under his breath.
Oof, please. You're not my mistress. You're just my employee's spoiled daughter.
Can you believe the cheek of that man? Ugh! Anyway, I'm Maya, the beloved daughter of the CEO of Anderx Corp. And that jerk is Blade, my father's private pilot. I don't know why my father likes him so much. He's sarcastic, abrupt, and crude. The only reason I was flying with him in the first place was because he was going to pick my father up from a meeting in Rio, which coincidentally, I was in need of a weekend getaway under the hot tropical sunlight. So, 2 birds, 1 stone, huh? But, yeah, this is what I got instead. Oops, how embarrassing. Why was my stomach growling like this? Hearing that, Blade immediately opened his backpack and took out a sandwich. I reached out to take it, but what? He stuffed it straight into his mouth and grinned at me as he chewed. Fine, he could keep his lame food. At that moment, we heard a loud noise in the sky. We looked up and saw a rescue helicopter. I jumped up and down, waved, and shouted to catch its attention. After a while, I turned around and saw Blade doing something weird. What on earth are you doing? Come here and shout. Now is not the time to build tiny stick houses or whatever, mister. But he just rolled his eyes and carried on. How dare he? I jumped in and kicked hard at the pile of twigs he was stacking. Geez, he sure looked annoyed. Why are you looking at me like that? It's you who keeps doing all that nonsense this time.
Your shouts are useless here. This fire was our only chance of sending that helicopter a distress signal, and you just ruined it.
Then he stormed off, leaving me all alone. So the rescue helicopter flew away, and our survival journey continued, unfortunately. Hey, slow down. How long does it take to this stupid brook? And guess what he said to me?
We only have 1 bottle of water, so if you don't want to die of thirst, I suggest you shut up and keep walking.
Blah, blah, blah. But we went on and on and on, and still couldn't find the brook, even though the sun had already set. So we had to create a makeshift tent with our parachute, and the 2 of us gradually fell asleep. Early the next morning, a raging hunger awakened me. Blade was still sleeping, so I crept past him and rummaged in his backpack. Oh, the jerk was hiding an apple from me. I was about to take a big bite out of it, when suddenly a hand snatched it away. Ugh! I can't stand it anymore. It's just an apple. Why do you... Huh? When did Blade get so hairy? Wait, was it a monkey? Ah! I screamed loudly, and the monkey ran away with my breakfast. Blade rushed over to me.
You know what, princess? That was the only food we had left.
Then he pulled my hand to chase after the monkey. And guess what we found? OMG. OMG! There was our helicopter next to the brook! We were so happy that we ran over and hugged each other tightly. We're alive! And we have enough food for a week in there! Oh, wait. He was still on my blacklist, so I immediately pushed him away. He scratched his head, and his face turned as red as a tomato. I suppose he was kinda adorable sometimes, but I was still mad at him. As the days passed by, we started running low on food. Blade remained persistent and continued trying to make contact on the radio. Finally, he detected the frequency and... Eek! We got a reply! They told us to wait a little longer, and the next morning a helicopter would come to the rescue. At last! This was our last night in this awful place. Blade was so cold and unpleasant at the beginning, but over the past difficult days, he seemed to have opened his heart and really showed his warm side. We actually spent hours chatting that night, and I listened to him talk about his tough childhood in the orphanage and his dream of flying freely in the sky. That's great! I wish I had a dream to dedicate myself to.
Oh, you don't have any?
Actually, yes. Since my mom passed away, my father started working even more. I longed to have my happy family life back, but it wasn't to be. Maybe I will get that again, but this time with my fiancé.
Really? If so, he's a lucky guy.
Huh? What did Blade mean by that? I suddenly felt my face flush. Honestly, speaking of my fiancé, I just found out by accident that the luxurious life he claims to have, all the houses and cars, are all fake. I'm a bit confused, but I haven't asked him directly yet. Just like that, our stories continued until dawn. Thank goodness, I'm finally out of that awful forest.
Maya, are you okay? I've been worried sick about you. Chase?
Oh, you two know each other? Chase is my fiancé.
It's a long story, but I'll tell you later. Now let's get going.
That night, we stayed at a hotel before heading home. And oh boy, it sure was good to be pampered again. I was sitting in our suite room, picking up my room service order and waiting for Chase. What was taking him so long? Feeling down being all alone, I found myself leaving the room and looking for Blade. As I was walking along the hallway, I accidentally bumped into a room service guy and caused him to drop his walkie-talkie.
Watch it. Don't mess it up.
That sounded a lot like... Nah, it can't be.
What made my mistress come all the way over to my room?
About the things I told you yesterday regarding Chase, I didn't realize you knew him, so please keep it a secret.
Maya, actually, I think you need to know this.
Suddenly, his phone rang, so he answered it. The conversation sounded serious. Then he said to me,
"The airport cameras have been checked and someone tampered with the helicopter. They're going to send me the footage."
We both watched the video and saw a strange young man approaching it before takeoff. Hang on. I recognized that man. He's the room service guy I just bumped into. Uh-oh. I had a bad feeling about this.
We need to find him now!
Huh? What was that smell? Ew, it was irritating my nose. I asked Blade if he smelt it too, and he just shrugged and said all he could smell was my perfume. Then there was a clicking sound at the door. We rushed over to it, but it was jammed. Blade called the front desk, but no one answered. So I took the phone off him and called my room, in the hope Chase would pick up. But he didn't. I started coughing. There was definitely a weird smell in here. So I rushed into the bathroom, soaked the towels, and passed one to Blade to cover his mouth and nose with. Then I grabbed the vase off the table and threw it at the window. Smash!
Wow, nice shot!
Luckily, we were only on the second floor, so with Blade's help, we easily jumped onto the ground. Then we rushed to reception to verify the identity of the suspicious hotel staff, and ran straight into... Chase!
Are you two okay? What's with the gas leak?
Chase worriedly asked us. Then he turned to scold the hotel manager. Huh? How did he know about that? Blade and I shared confused looks, but neither of us said anything out loud. It was horrible, Chase. I was so scared. Please stay with me. I don't want to be alone. I pretended to cry as I leaned on his shoulder. Then, while Chase was talking to reception, I turned to Blade and asked him to call the police to find the suspicious hotel staff instead. That afternoon, before checking out, the police called to say they'd arrested the suspect. So all three of us went to the station. As soon as the police led the room service guy out, he immediately pointed at Chase and said,
"He's the one who hired me."
Chase gave a shocked look, denied the accusation, and threatened to sue him if he continued with this slander.
"Stop the act, Chase."
I checked, and I know you used my card to send huge payments to the same person, that person. All I did was love you with all of my heart. So why did you try and harm me?
No, I never wanted you to be hurt. It's just, why were you always with him?
What do you mean?
I hate you, Blade. Why do you always stick your nose in my business and ruin everything? I'd almost reached my goal. Then you appeared and messed everything up.
So, it turns out Chase was targeting Blade, not me. The two of them grew up in the same orphanage. As a kid, Chase was a crafty boy who took delight in deceiving others for fun, so the nuns assigned Blade the task of watching over him. Blade just wanted the best for his friend, so he followed Chase's every step and tried to stop him from all his petty theft plans and love scams. So Chase grew to despise Blade, and when they both left the orphanage, they lost contact with each other. Coincidentally, one time, when Chase arrived at my home to pick me up, he saw Blade. So fearing that he'd expose his underprivileged background, he planned to get rid of him forever. I don't care how much money you have. I already know your flashy wealth was all made up. But I thought you had your reasons and weren't comfortable enough to tell the truth. But it didn't matter, as I still wanted to be with you. However, what I find unacceptable is your deceitful and cruel nature. I never want to see you ever again. I burst into tears, and Blade comforted me. As for Chase, he was still begging for me to forgive him as the police dragged him away. It took me a long time to come to terms with what Chase did, but luckily for me, I have Blade to look out for me. Yep, that's right. We're now an official couple. Finally, I have the kind, loyal, action man boyfriend of my dreams. We sure do make a good couple, don't you think? This was my first day at my new school, and so far, it was going pretty well. Can you believe the principal himself was giving me the guided tour, as well as showering me with praise?
Amber, with your impressive grades and outstanding academic achievements, you'll fit in nicely here. This is Leo, my son. He's another excellent student here, and he's going to show you around.
Leo looked at me from head to toe, then smiled and winked at me. Huh? Was he checking me out?
And here's the library. Maybe we could study here together sometime.
Sorry, but I prefer to study alone. Right at that moment, a guy walked past us to the librarian's desk. Oh my God! He totally had this whole cool bad boy look going on. I zoomed in to see what book he was holding. The Orion Mystery? Wow, nice taste. I've been really into ancient stuff these days too. Leo must have noticed me staring at that guy, as he snidely said,
I'd steer clear of the likes of him if I was you. His grades are pathetic, and he's probably only in here so he can take a nap. He's below your league, while I'm far more suitable.
Thanks for showing me around, but seeing your smug and scornful attitude towards others proves otherwise. Then I left, leaving a stunned-looking Leo behind. I found my class easily enough, even without Leo's help. And my desk, yeah, there was no missing that. I mean, the huge bouquet with my name on it and a welcome hamper full of candy was a dead giveaway. And apparently, it was from the principal. Whoa. I knew he was glad I was here, but wasn't this a bit too much? Anyway, I shared all the flowers and candies with my classmates to get to know them better. So far, so good. And these two sweet girls, Jane and Ellie, walked to the canteen with me and showed me how to get the lunch tray using my student QR code. But then they pointed over to a group of students sitting next to the window and told me to go sit with them. Huh? Why can't I sit with you? You're not one of us. Then they went and joined another group. What did they mean by that? I looked around and noticed there were two menus, a delicious-looking one on the red board and a bland one on a blue board. It seemed the boards correlated to the trays, as more kids than not had the blue trays with the dull foods. I took my red tray full of tasty food and walked over to the window, where all the kids were sitting with red trays, including Leo. There's something really strange about this school. I was pretty awkward and didn't know what to do when I saw the Orion mystery boy walking in with a blue tray. So, without thinking, I approached him. I saw you this morning in the library. You were checking out my favorite book. So, should I return the book or what? No, I just want to make friends. Stop hanging out with this loser. A straight A student like you should sit with us. We're different. See? This was so stupid. So I told Leo I didn't need colored trays to tell me who I could and couldn't talk to, and that I was fully capable of making my own mind up. Leo and his friends looked furious, while the Orion mystery boy just grinned. Suddenly, a girl in the group spoke up with a super cold tone. Don't worry, Leo. This new girl will soon figure out what losers they are. Then she signaled for the whole group to leave. After that, the Orion mystery boy and I started talking, and he finally told me his name. It's John. The blue tray kids were really nice. Way nicer than the red tray ones. I asked John what the deal with the trays was, and he said that this school divided its students into two groups. The red were top achievers, and therefore got better food, cleaner spaces at the canteen, just everything. While the blues were made to eat bland food and squashed into the corner of the canteen. Poof! This whole thing was dumb. So I continued hanging out with John and his friends. Only Leo and that girl he was with, Quinn, didn't approve. Turns out she's the best student around here, and that made her the leader of the Reds. On many occasions, Quinn and her minions had pulled me aside after class to tell me I should stay away from the blues. But I didn't care. Then one day, the school announced that it was looking for the next school president. I wasn't that interested in it, but my friends were eager for me to sign up. If you're president, then you could make things fairer around here. Right. Better food, better tables and chairs. Please, we need you. Well, they did have a point. I really wanted them to have better things. And I suppose being school president would look good on my profile. So I signed up. But wow, I didn't think I'd be this popular. My friends completely supported me, made colorful banners, and helped me come up with catchy slogans. And you know what? In the end, I got to the final round. Whoop! Now all I had to do was beat Quinn. But then something awful happened at the school. I arrived to find a bunch of students gathered around something. I squeezed through the crowd and... oh my God. The principal's beloved portrait was covered in red paint. Then across the loudspeakers, two names were called to the principal's office. John's and mine.
Do you two know why I've summoned you here?
John and I shared confused looks.
No, huh? My portrait has been vandalized, and I know that Amber, you were the last one who passed the security guard yesterday. And John, you were caught on CCTV climbing over the back gate. Can you both please explain what you were doing so late at school?
I couldn't find my math book, and I have an important math test coming up. So I came back to try and find it.
And what about you, John? I knew it. An exemplary student such as Amber would never do such a thing. But a troublemaker like you, on the other hand, you're expelled. I didn't do it.
Please reconsider, sir. Please give me some time so I can find the one who's responsible.
Very well. Seeing as it's you, Amber, I shall allow you 1 week to prove this boy's innocence. Ahem, or his guilt.
When we left the office, I asked John why he was sneaking about the school late at night, but he got all defensive.
I had a thing, and it's none of your business. If you want to believe it was me, then do.
Didn't you see what I just did? I defended you. Can't you just tell me?
I had a thing, okay? My thing that you don't need to know.
Then he left. I stood there feeling confused when Quinn, Leo, and their group walked towards me.
Don't waste your time with him. Sooner or later he's gonna be expelled. Right, Quinn?
But Quinn ignored him, then gave me a dagger look. I'm gonna say this one last time. Stay away from him. Then they all left. Why was Leo so sure that John would be expelled? I know they all hated John, especially Quinn. Could it be that they framed him? Well, there's only one way to find out. I needed to keep a close eye on Quinn and see what she was up to. So after school, I followed Quinn all the way to the harbor. It's like she was waiting for someone.
What on earth are you doing?
My God, I had to press my hands over my mouth so I didn't start screaming. Turns out he noticed that I was following Quinn, so he followed me too in case I do something stupid. Suddenly, Quinn took her phone out to call someone. But then a strange thing happened. John's phone started vibrating. Why is Quinn calling you? John took his phone out and showed me the screen.
It's just my mom.
And when I turned around to see what Quinn was doing, she'd gone. Ugh, I lost her. I've been following Quinn for a whole week, but it's led to nothing. I was so deep in my thoughts that I accidentally dropped someone's backpack and all their stuff fell out. Ugh, it's Quinn's. Better pick everything up before she comes back. But then I saw something that caught my attention. It was a receipt for red paint. Jackpot. I knew it was her. John was skipping classes today, so I took a detour to his house after school to tell him. Huh? Why was Quinn standing outside his door? There was something seriously fishy going on here, so I followed them. They stopped at an abandoned house nearby, and I eavesdropped on their conversation. I think Amber knows something. Last time, we were lucky she didn't catch us dating at the harbor. But this time, what if she finds out? I've been working so hard for this school president campaign.
I knew she'd go back for her math book. It would have been fine if the school didn't have that new camera at the back gate. Tomorrow I will confess to the principal that I did it. You didn't do it yourself anyway.
Oh God, I couldn't believe it. Turns out Quinn was meeting John at the harbor, so when she called someone, it was actually him. But being an expert at this secret dating game, he had her number saved as Mom. They were hiding their relationship this whole time. And worse, they tried framing me so Quinn would win the election. Unbelievable! I couldn't stay quiet any longer, so I stepped out in front of them, told them I'd heard everything and that I was going to tell the principal. Then I ran off without letting them say a word. The next day, I was en route to the principal's office when I passed Quinn tearing down her election posters on the wall. Why are you doing that? It's okay. I know I don't deserve to be school president. I thought you wanted to be president more than anything in the world. Why else would you play dirty tricks on me? So Quinn explained to me that she was running for school president to eliminate the discrimination here, so that she didn't have to hide her relationship with John any longer. Oh, wow. I didn't know. I didn't expect her to have such a meaningful motive behind all this. My plan was just to fight for better things for the Blues team. But man, Quinn had a vision to change this whole school. Impressive. And there's one more thing. Since you're the principal's favorite student, we were afraid that if you become school president, despite your best efforts, things here would only get worse. So there was no other way for us. We had to. I'm sorry. It seems like I misjudged Quinn, and I didn't want John to get expelled, so I said that I'd take the blame for the portrait incident. But it's all my fault. You don't need to do that. No worries. I'm sure to ace the math test and win a prize for the school, so there's no way he's gonna punish me. So at recess, I was heading to the principal's office, but before I could get there, I found myself being dragged into the janitor's closet. Oh, it was John. He was feeling guilty and didn't want me to take the fall. I was about to reply to him when I heard two familiar voices in the science room next to us. It was Quinn and Leo. Oh my God, we could hear them clearly through the ventilation hole. I can't believe it worked. Amber is such a fool. There's no way she'll be allowed to run for president and victory will be mine.
So, are you really gonna remove the division between the two groups just to freely date your stupid boyfriend in public?
Are you fooled by that too? Of course I won't. No way. That was only to trick Amber and John. What I'm gonna do is make sure all troublemakers are gonna be kicked out of school. What? I got played? Again? Ugh! I turned to John and, oh man, he looked disappointed. Don't worry. I know a way to get back at them. On election day, Quinn gave her speech, and unsurprisingly, she went on about how the red group brings more to the school and therefore deserves their privileges. She really believes she could make a fool out of this Amber, huh? When I stepped out on the stage, her jaw dropped. Yeah, Quinn, I didn't confess to the principal. Giving speeches in front of a crowd wasn't something new to me, so I was super confident. I'm sure you're all aware of how this school operates. We're divided into two groups and get treated very differently. What I see here is discrimination and prejudice, when in reality, this should be a safe place for all students to strive and reach their full potential. So, I'm standing here today to tell you that if you choose me to be your next school president, I will break the barrier. Let's say goodbye to red and blue trays and hello to fairness and equality. After my speech ended, the crowd went wild. Wow! And surprisingly, some of the red group were cheering me too. You're probably wondering why I didn't expose Quinn in front of the whole school, right? As I see it, she'd had a massive reality check, so I think that was enough. I also spotted the principal quietly sneaking off with his head down, in the midst of cheers the whole school gave me. Could you guess who won? Yeah, me of course. John came on stage and handed me flowers in front of a furious-looking Quinn. I walked towards her and whispered, "Let's see how you're gonna get rid of the troublemakers now." She just sneered at me, then stormed off the stage. Later, we heard that Quinn confessed all to the principal. Then she transferred to another school. What about me? Well, after I became school president, I stuck to my promise and began making some serious changes to the unfairness of the school. And John, did we become a couple, you ask? Oh no, we're just close friends.
You are probably wondering why all eyes are on us. This is nothing new. Actually, this pretty much always happens when we walk through school together. Look, they're truly the high school version of Kim K and Paris Hilton, aren't they? Agreed. They're quite charming. Yeah, that's us. I'm Robin, and the Hilton to my Kardashian is Allison, my BFF. Don't let her snooty look fool you. She's actually a really nice girl who's always there for me. I never had to worry about a thing being with her. We've basically been inseparable since forever.
Ugh, Candace, you so did that on purpose.
Oops, sorry. It's just too hard for my eyes to notice something as lame as you.
Oh, really? So it has nothing to do with the fact you're afraid I'll take your cheerleading spot and beauty queen title?
As if. You're no competition for me. This wasn't a new thing. Because Allison is so beautiful and talented, she often gets into altercations with the jealous mean girls. Now, thanks to the Candace drama, we're late for class. We were hurrying along the corridor when suddenly Allison stopped. A poster caught our eyes. It was for the contest to find the new cheerleading captain.
Perfect! I can't wait to win and wipe that smug grin off Candace's face.
You're gonna register too?
Of course I am. I'm gonna teach that girl a lesson. Just you wait and see.
Oh, snap. The truth is, I had also signed up for the competition and was waiting for the right time to tell Allison, but who knew she would suddenly become so determined to win this? If Allison found out I was going to be her rival, what would she think? Ugh, what should I do? I don't want to upset her, but I really need to win this competition too. Why, you ask? It's for one person. It was him, Steve, the basketball team captain, and also Allison's cousin. I've had a huge crush on him, but the problem is that he's not exactly short on fangirls, including Candace. I'd never be as forward as her, so I just watched him from afar. But what if I'm no longer a nobody and become the cheerleading captain? Then Steve would notice me, and I'd be confident enough to open my heart to him. Right? But things were way too difficult when I have to face up to not only Candace, the resident mean girl, but also Allison, my BFF. Great! It's true what they say. Putting something off will definitely come to bite you eventually. As I was having lunch with Allison in the cafeteria, Candace and her friends stopped in front of our table. So, you think you can compete with us? Go on then. Eat up and grow strong, little girl. If you have a problem with me, then deal with me. Leave my friend alone. Okay, princess. Not everything is about you. I'm talking to her. Oh, wait. Look at this lost puppy. Hasn't Robin right here told you that she's also competing for the cheerleading captain position? Then Candace and her friends left, leaving me to face Allison's surprise and anger. I was planning to... You really want to compete against me? I just want to try. Wow, I've never expected you to stab me in the back like this. Unbelievable! Then she stormed off, leaving me there feeling dumbfounded, staring at my ruined lunch. I know I should have told her in the first place, but her reaction was way worse than I expected. For the rest of that day, I couldn't find her anywhere. Not at school, not at her house. So before going to bed, I texted her, saying how sorry I was, and that I also had my side of the story, which I would tell her all about, but only after the contest. This was just a little misunderstanding. My awesome Allison would forgive me by the break of dawn, right? But nope. After that, Allison started treating me like I was invisible. No matter how hard I tried to talk to her, she wouldn't listen and just said, I don't need any explanation, backstabber. Drop out of the contest, then we'll talk. Drop out? No way! I mean, I really need this. And, hang on, why couldn't I try out? So what? I kept it a secret from her. Was I supposed to tell her every single thing that I did? It was so upsetting to see us falling apart like this, but I had to sort out my priorities too. So as heartbreaking as it was, I had to put aside this temporarily broken friendship to strive for the biggest goal right now, the captain title. I poured all my focus into cheer practice and often stayed late so I could hone my skills. All my hard work paid off when the teacher complimented my technique. Meanwhile, Allison only received negative feedback. I turned to give her an encouraging smile, but she gave me a hateful look back. Did she think I was the cause of her poor form or what? I was about to leave when Allison walked in. I said hi, but she just ignored me. Seeing that, Candace didn't miss her chance to mock us. Being betrayed by your best friend must suck. Oh dear, if it was me, I wouldn't be able to go to school. Allison angrily slammed the locker door shut and walked straight out of there, while Candace and her friends were laughing. Ugh, they were the worst. The day of the competition finally came and I was so nervous. But hang on, I couldn't spot Allison anywhere. I was trying to look for her when I heard my name over the loudspeaker. It's my turn already. I was backstage on standby when suddenly I heard someone talking about Allison having an accident and not being able to attend the competition. Oh my god, Allison. Is she okay? But before I could run over to ask them more questions, I was pushed out to the stage. The music was already playing, but I felt too overwhelmed and anxious to start. Sensing my nerves, the whole stand gave me a round of applause to cheer me on. I looked down at the audience and took a deep breath, tried to concentrate, and started my performance. As soon as the music ended, the whole room burst into endless applause. The judges nodded and smiled at me. I was too worried about Allison to celebrate, so right after my performance, I rushed over to her house to check. But she didn't welcome me at all.
How dare you show your face here? Not after what you did!
What do you mean? I heard that you fell, so I rushed here right after the competition.
Stop the act. I know you snuck up behind me and pushed me yesterday. Thanks to you, I had to quit the contest.
What is she saying? Allison disappeared off upstairs. I rushed over to help her, but she pushed me over.
Go away! We're not friends anymore.
I was so upset that I burst into tears, and when I got up from the ground, I saw Steve standing at the bottom of the stairs. Did he see it all? I was so embarrassed that I fled as quickly as possible. And things didn't stop getting worse. I've never been so scared to go to school before in my life. It's all thanks to the school forum post accusing me of pushing Allison. Now my voting rank has dropped, and kids I don't even know are giving me dirty looks. Suddenly, Steve came up from nowhere and started talking to me. Allison hasn't been in a right mood recently. I'm sorry on her behalf. This was not a dream, right? Steve had never bothered with me before, so why now? For you, this is a lucky pouch containing feng shui gemstones. If you wish for something, confess to the pouch a sin of yours, and the wish will come true. It's proportional to each other. The bigger the sin, the grander the wish. But use it carefully, as either opened or overused, it will weaken its energy. I watched as Steve turned his back and left. This was such a sweet thing for him to do, especially as everyone else was treating me like I was a walking plague cloud or something. But did this pouch really have magic powers? I guess there's only one way to find out, right? I call upon the magical powers of this pouch to confess that I purposely hid the flashy dress Mom bought me, then lied that I'd lost it so I wouldn't have to wear it. I'm so sorry. I wish I'll get a good grade for my chemistry test tomorrow so she'll be happy. After making the wish, I carefully put it in my backpack, hoping tomorrow during the test it would work. But no, the last question was pretty much impossible. I sighed, thinking the A was about to slip out of my hand, when suddenly Kevin, the smartest guy in class, threw me a piece of paper when the teacher didn't notice. I stealthily opened it. Whoa! It was the answer to that one question I had left. I quickly filled in my paper without thinking any further. A few days after, I got my test results, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw an A in front of me. It must be the powers of the magic pouch, as normally Kevin didn't even talk to me. Fascinating. And so, I made a few more wishes, and they all came true. Once I even confessed that I accidentally spilled water and damaged my computer, and wished Mom would buy me a new one. Unbelievably, 2 days later, Mom bought me a MacBook and said it was an early birthday present. This pouch was a miracle, so it was time I used it for my most important wish. I call upon the magical powers of this pouch to confess that I kept this secret from Allison and practiced every night, then signed up for the cheerleader competition. I want to win just because I long for Steve's attention and to gain the confidence to confess to him. Please help her recover quickly, and for us to make up and be as close as ever. After wishing, I breathed a sigh of relief. It felt good to finally get this all off my chest. The next day after school, I was pretending to be walking past the basketball court as usual, when Steve called me over and handed me a bottle of juice. Looks like the pouch really exerts its power. Actually, Robin, there's no magic. I just snuck a MIDI recorder in that pouch to figure out if you were the one to mess with Allison. I'm sorry. What? In that lucky pouch is a mini recorder? So it also means he heard everything, including my love confession? I blushed cherry red and didn't know how to react, when he suddenly sighed. Hey, do you suspect anyone? I still want to find out who the culprit is. Candace? She has a grudge against Allison. Candace. Then I have a way. See you around. Since I found out that Steve knew I liked him, I've been wondering why he didn't give me a reaction back. Maybe his silence is rejection? As soon as I entered the cafeteria, I saw the crowd rushing around. Oh my god. It's Steve and Candace with linked arms. Wait, what was that in her hand? It sure looked a lot like a lucky pouch. Could it be? While Candace wasn't paying attention, Steve turned his head around, smiled, then winked at me. Oh, that's it. Steve was just acting so he could get information from her. The day after, Steve invited me to the treehouse in his garden to listen to Candace's recording. But it turns out, Candace was not the culprit that caused Allison's accident either. She just admitted to some nonsense slurs and pranks and wished to win the championship, and for Steve to love and spoil her. Then who is it? Somehow Allison keeps insisting it's you. How about you give Allison the pouch? I want to listen to her feelings too. And so, the magic pouch was also passed on to Allison. The next evening, after my late practice, Steve and I went to the park nearby to listen to Allison's confessions.
Dear magic spell pouch, I actually didn't fall. Robin was getting so good and I wasn't confident that I'd win and losing to her would be humiliating. So I spread the news that I had an accident so I didn't have to participate and blamed everything on her. Everyone loves her. Even Steve has a secret crush on her. While me...
What? That means it was all planned by Allison? And Steve had a crush on me? Is that true? My thoughts are all over the place right now. Then before I could blurt out a word, he took my hand to go to Allison's house. What is this, Allison? Can you explain this?
So what? Why does such an ordinary girl like her get so many good things? I deserve it, not her.
Allison, why? Without even letting me finish my sentence, Allison slammed the door shut. At least I knew the truth now, right? Even though it sure was ugly. I really have nothing left now. I lost my best friend, and with only one more day until the voting for the contest comes to an end, it looks like Candace will win. But as soon as I stepped into the classroom, everybody rushed over to me and waved their phones in my face. Huh? Oh, there's a new post on the school forum. It turns out that Allison shared the truth, and even apologized to me. I knew it. My bestie is always a very kind person. Thanks to that, my vote soared and got to first place. And this is the moment I've been waiting for. The new leader of our cheerleading team is Robin Smith. Through my ecstatic grin, I noticed someone standing from afar. It's Allison. Seeing me, she hurried away, but luckily I was able to catch her up. Allison, thank you. I'm sorry for hurting you like that.
No, I'm the one at fault.
Although it was awkward at first, we soon got past this, then managed to talk straight to each other. Allison apologized for everything, then she congratulated me and gave me a hug. Oh, right. Now that I'm the winner, I can confidently confess my feelings to Steve, right? No need, because he already did that to me. Thank you for staying beside me. But, Steve, I still wonder how that bag could fulfill all my wishes. The other things are understandable, but the MacBook was unreal. Yeah. I may have called your mom pretending to be...
It's almost the finish line. Just a little more. Come on, Bolt. We can make it. Yes, we've done it again. So, as you can see, the winner was me, Matilda, along with my horse, the heroic Bolt. This is our third win in a row already. Woohoo! It may only be a small hometown race with a modest prize, but it's still gonna go a long way in supporting my grandparents' farm. Now it's time for this guy to rest. Good boy, Bolt. You did amazing out there. A 16-hand stallion, healthy, glossy coat, and a well-mannered temperament. Geez, the horse dealers even follow me home now? I took a handful of hay, spun around, and hurled it at him. Go away! I don't want your stinking money. Bolt is not for sale. Right at that moment, my grandpa appeared.
Matilda, that is no way to speak to our guest of honor. I apologize for my granddaughter's behavior. She's a firecracker at times. Teenagers, you know. Anyway, it's dinner time. Please join us for a home-cooked meal right this way.
Huh? Guest of honor? Who could he be? Oh my god. It turns out the man was none other than Mr. Allen, the chairman of Allstellar Incorp., the annual sponsor of my family's farm. I turned beet red and apologized profusely for being so rude to him.
No problem, kiddo. I like your spirit. I thought it'd be a good idea to check out the farm I'm sponsoring, and I stumbled upon the racing tournament. Oh boy, you sure can race, can't you, girl? Not many can handle a wet track at that speed. We have our reservations about her skipping school and competing in such dangerous races. But Matilda's insistent that she was a part of this family, so it's her responsibility to help us, her only remaining relatives.
Mr. Allen gave me this thoughtful look, then said,
How about this? The annual sponsorship for your grandparents' farm stays the same, and on top of that, you can move in with me and have a proper education.
Did I hear him right? I gasped. But who will take care of my grandparents?
Sweetie, we still have our health. We can run this place just fine. That's right, Maddie. Take your chance. Opportunities like this don't come twice.
But what about Bolt? I can't go without him.
Bring him along. I have a small horse farm where he can stay. You can help around the stables, and we can call it payment for your school fees, alright?
Well, I guess that's settled then. Yay! 1 week later, Mr. Allen sent his driver to pick me up, and the new chapter of my life started from here. Wait. Oh my god. This can't be it! Mr. Allen said it was a small horse farm, but this place, it's enormous. As soon as I stepped out of the car, a girl my age rushed over and hugged me. Matilda, you're finally here! I'm your new sister, Judy. I greeted her back with the widest smile. She seemed so sweet. She led me over to the front porch where Mr. Allen and a woman were waiting for me. It must be my new mom, but why was she giving me such a strange look? Before I could even introduce myself, she turned and walked into the house. Maybe she wasn't feeling very well. That evening, I dined on a lavish meal. We chatted lots, and the Allens seemed fascinated by my childhood life at the farm, especially Judy with her 10,000 questions. Sis, so, is it true that you have never seen your parents? Yeah, my father passed away in an accident before I was born, and my mom also left me when I was an infant. On hearing that, Judy gently comforted me while Mr. Allen smiled and said, Now, besides your grandparents, you also have us, your second family. You got a sister, a new dad here, and also your caring mom. Right, darling? Mrs. Allen flinched and dropped her fork. I immediately leaned over to ask, Mom, are you okay? But to my surprise, she just yelled at me. Don't call me that! Feeling flustered, I stared down at my plate. Had I done something wrong? Over the following days, I tried my best to get closer to Mom, but I was always met with coldness in return. One time, seeing Mrs. Allen was resting outside, I brought her an iced coffee. But as soon as she saw me coming over, she placed her hat over her face, pretending to be asleep. On another occasion, I complimented her dress, but she just tutted at me, then walked away. I really wanted her to like me, but it was useless. She clearly detested me. But at least I still have Judy and Dad by my side. Judy tried reassuring me that Mom was a good person and that she just needed a little more time to get to know me better. As for Dad, not only did he send me to a top school, but he also encouraged me to follow my passion. All the afternoons when I got to watch horse racing and bet on the winning horse with Dad were so much fun. And as I watched the horses gallop past, a thought crossed my mind. What if Bolt and I were the one on that track, winning the race and bringing back the huge prize money for my grandparents? I couldn't stop thinking about this. So one time, on the way back home from a race, I asked my dad if I could compete. And he didn't even hesitate to reply.
Why not? You do have a talent. How about give it a go?
Oh God, this was so exciting! My foster dad was the best, and I couldn't wait to give this my all and make him proud. After that, he immediately got me a personal coach and a dedicated team of trainers and groomers for Bolt. I'd never felt so happy, and Bolt had never looked so good. Everything was great, except that Mrs. Allen still seemed to have an issue with me. Every time I packed for practice, she always frowned and muttered stuff under her breath. Maybe she's irritated about the fact that an adopted child like me was receiving much more than I deserved, or something. But anyway, whether she liked it or not, with my talent, I'll quickly rise to be a brilliant rookie. One morning after practice, Judy came up to me and said, Matilda, can you teach me how to ride a horse? It might be a little scary for a first-timer. Are you sure you want to try? Yes, Please? If I know how to ride, I can spend more time with Dad just like you do. I looked at her angelic, hopeful face. How could I say no? So I helped her onto Bolt and taught her how to hold the reins and do a few commands. It went smoothly at first, but suddenly Mrs. Allen came out of nowhere and shouted, "What are you doing? Judy, come down right now." Startled, Judy misjudged her movements and tumbled off Bolt. As we both rushed over to check on her, Mrs. Allen pushed me aside, which caused me to fall onto my butt. Do you know how important legs are to a ballet dancer? Are you intent on ruining her future? Before I could reply, she shouted, "What an incompetent kid! Get out of my sight!" Ugh, it was just a few scratches and bruises. Why was she so serious about it? And incompetent? Huh, fine. I'd show her what an incompetent kid can do. From then on, I got my head in the game and continuously won several small and medium prizes. I sent most of my winnings to help out my grandparents and kept the rest to treat Judy and myself to something nice. One day after dinner, Dad called me into his office and told me that the two biggest races of the year, the Grand Shields and the Royal Silverford, were coming up in 2 weeks, and he'd already signed me and Bolt up for them. But the two races were only 1 week apart. That would be too much for Bolt, cause the latest race seemed to wear him out. I mentioned this to Dad, but he was adamant that Bolt would be able to manage it. I didn't want to let Dad down, but I didn't want to hurt Bolt either. I needed time to think about it. As I left the room, I gave a petrified jump. There, in front of me, was a stone-faced Mrs. Allen. She grabbed my arm and yanked me into another room. "You can't compete in the races. These are different from your usual amateur events. You're not good enough, and you'll only embarrass our family." Were you eavesdropping on my conversation with Dad? Listen, you're not my mother, so you can't tell me what to do. I will surely join it. Then I stormed out of there. Early in the morning of the first race, I was going to the stables to check on Bolt when I caught 2 of Mrs. Allen's servants sneaking out of there. What were they doing here? I went to investigate and... This is not Bolt! What has Mrs. Allen done to my horse? Right at that moment, Mr. Allen walked in with the vet. I told him what I'd just seen and he muttered out, "That woman dares to get in my way, huh? I'll make sure she'll pay for it this time." Then he turned to me and said, "Leave it to me. I'll find Bolt. Go get some rest and prepare yourself for the race." I'd never seen him this stern before, so I just nodded in concern. Despite all the drama, I still managed to bring home the Grand Shields Championship title. It's amazing, right? However, I couldn't fully enjoy the victory as one thing was still lingering on my mind. Mrs. Allen has been absent for the last 4 days. Could it be that Dad has done something to her? Hey, Judy, did Mrs. Allen say she was going somewhere? Dad told me that Mom's been so stressed lately, so he arranged for her to go to Aunt Anna's villa to rest. Oh, it seemed like what Dad said at that time was just an expression of anger. At least I had one less thing to worry about. You see, my main concern at the moment is Bolt, as his health has clearly deteriorated since the previous race. The vet says he's doing fine, but through Bolt's heavy breathing, I know something isn't right. A week passed by and the day of the second tournament finally arrived. While the vet was checking on Bolt before the race, Dad suddenly pulled me outside. "We must win today's match. I expect a lot from you." I had a bad feeling about this somehow, but I still nodded and assured him that I would do my best. The race was about to begin. Everything's in check. I'm ready for it. But wait. Why does Judy look so flustered? Maddie, Mom was not on a trip. The storage room. Dad locked her there because she found out what he was up to. He's doping Bolt. What is she talking about? Could it be that the vet who came in earlier was drugging Bolt then? But no way. If there's anyone wanting to harm me and Bolt, it's Mrs. Allen, not Dad. Listen, Mom only swapped Bolt the other time to protect you. Before I could shape what happened, I saw a burly man covering Judy's mouth and pulling her away. Then a voice whispered in my ear, "Only one game left. Just keep your mouth shut and do it properly. If you lose, I can make things very uncomfortable for you and your grandparents. Got it? Now get on the horse." A chill ran down my spine. I felt like I was gonna vomit. How could the caring, kind man I called Dad turn out to be such a fraud? The signal of the match rang out. Ugh, what should I do? I couldn't let that wicked man get what he wanted. So I closed my eyes and stayed put.
What do you think you're playing at? Run! Run now!
Mr. Allen went crazy and rushed over to me. But right at that moment, the organizer appeared and asked me to take Bolt for a health check. They led Bolt away and brought me and Mr. Allen to the office, where I was shocked to see a frantic-faced Mrs. Allen cuddling Judy. It turns out that Judy had freed her mom from the room Mr. Allen had locked her in. Then she'd come straight here and handed the organizers incriminating paperwork of her husband's corrupt doings. Mr. Allen glared at me and shouted,
I had to raise you without any benefits just because of her. Now it's your turn to pay me back.
Then he immediately charged at me. But Mrs. Allen quickly covered for me and pushed him away. And one of the race organizers restrained him. Don't you dare harm my daughter. Huh? Daughter? Mrs. Allen looked at me with tear-soaked eyes. Sweetie, please give me a chance to explain. I fidgeted the coffee cup in my hand and stared at the ground while Mrs. Allen told me her side of the story. Turns out she really is my biological mom. Could you believe that? After my dad passed away, in her vulnerable state, she fell for Mr. Allen's forced charm and fake words. But he soon showed his real face and heartlessly separated me and my mom after they married. That's why she could only secretly send money to our farm under Mr. Allen's name. Mom also recognized me from the beginning, but she didn't say anything as she knew that Mr. Allen adopted me just to get Bolt, a horse that could help him win some shady bettings. If I knew the truth and rebelled against him, he would harm me. I'm so sorry for all these years, especially these past few months. It has been extremely hard for me, having to treat my dear daughter so badly. But that was the only way to push you away from him, from this rotten house. I didn't want you to be in danger, just like how your real dad was when he worked for him. Please forgive me, Matilda. Tears kept rolling down my cheeks. Turned out, I always had a mother protecting me. Mom pulled me in for a tight hug. Mom! I hugged my mother tightly. I really love and miss you. Please forgive me. I looked up to her and smiled. Of course, yes. I'm more than happy to have you back in my life, Mom. And the best sister I could ever wish for, too.